On October 4, 2025, Perseverance turned its camera skyward and caught something no one expected. The first close-up of 3I/ATLS, an interstellar object unlike anything ever seen. Suspended above the Martian horizon, it looked like a comet, but it moved with unnatural precision. Despite solar storms, it showed no signs of disruption. Instead, it glowed steadily, held its shape, and followed a path aligned too perfectly with the solar system's plane. If you're still watching, subscribe now. You crave more than answers. You seek what lies beyond. Subscribe now and be part of the few who never stop searching. Its resilience and orbital behavior hinted at something deeper, something engineered. Spectral analysis from Webb and Hubble only added to the mystery, layered metallic signatures and materials unrecognized by natural models. What Perseverance saw wasn't just a cosmic traveler, it might have been a visitor with a purpose. The image has sparked fierce debate. Is 3I/ATLS a probe, a relic, or a message from another world? Its spectral fingerprints echo materials found in Martian soil, while its trajectory brushes against theories tied to the infamous WOW signal. Whether ancient or operational, accidental or intentional, the object challenges our assumptions about interstellar matter, and possibly about who or what is sending it. For the first time, humanity may be witnessing not just a scientific anomaly, but a silent emissary from another civilization, quietly drifting through our skies. On October 4, 2025, the Perseverance rover looked up from the rusted dust of Mars and captured something no one expected. A streak in the thin Martian sky, sharper than any known comet, more stable than a meteor. There it was, 3I/ATLS, an interstellar object, caught not by theory or speculation, but by a camera bolted to a robotic explorer millions of miles from Earth. It wasn't supposed to be like this. 3I/ATLS was expected to fly through the solar system, unbothered, untouched, unseen except by a few distant observatories. It was thought to be another high-speed interstellar comet, like the ones before, Oumuamua, Borisov. Rare, fast, forgettable. But the image from Perseverance changed everything. This was no ordinary blur. Analysis of the data showed a sharp structure, stable brightness, and a surprising resilience to the surrounding solar environment. Over the days that followed, additional observations confirmed what the image first hinted at. This object was different. The orbit was a red flag, instead of a wild hyperbolic curve tearing through the solar system and out into the void. 3I/ATLS followed a course disturbingly aligned with the ecliptic, the flat plane that defines the orbits of the planets. Its velocity screamed interstellar, but its trajectory showed control, too smooth, too perfect. Natural objects don't behave like this. Then came the physical data. Normally a comet exposed to the sun's radiation brightens, develops tails, and often becomes unstable. But 3I/ATLS didn't flare. It didn't shed mass in chaotic bursts. In fact, it dimmed slightly and retained structural cohesion even during strong solar storms. That resilience was the first major clue. Solar storms are violent. Charged particles rip through space. Even large asteroids feel the effects. But this object showed no fragmentation, no instability. It simply absorbed the energy and kept moving. That kind of durability pointed to something else entirely, either an unknown natural composition or a design. More questions surfaced with the spectral analysis. Data from Hubble, James Webb, and other observatories showed extreme negative polarization and optical behavior inconsistent with known cometary surfaces. Not only that, but the spectral profile revealed reflective, possibly metallic, surfaces, no organic materials, no water ice. No carbon signatures typical of comets. What it did show was something far stranger: layered surfaces, highly reflective regions, materials engineered or appearing to be at a scale beyond anything naturally formed in a typical protoplanetary disk. It looked less like a rock and more like a structure. Then came the chemical clues. Embedded in the spectral data were familiar elements: silicates, iron oxides, the kind of compounds found in Martian soil. At first glance, that might seem coincidental, but the match was too clean. The composition resembled not just Martian dust, but the exact mix found near Gale crater, It sparked a wave of speculation. Was it ejected from Mars long ago? A piece of something shattered, a remnant of a lost structure, or had it never originated here at all, but instead carried similar materials from another world, one like Mars, orbiting another star? And then someone asked the obvious question: why now? Why at the exact time NASA had surface rovers operational, space-based observatories watching the sky, and near-Earth telescopes fully engaged, did this object pass through at such a visible detectable moment? Its brightness, its orbit, and its slow rotation seemed perfectly tailored for detection. Not too fast, not too dim, just right. That kind of coincidence raises eyebrows, especially when paired with an equally strange detail: the timing of its trajectory through the solar system, roughly aligned with the origin point of the famous WOW signal from 1977. One strange signal, one silent object, decades apart, but now seen in the same direction. Suddenly, 3I/ATLS wasn't just a curiosity, it was a contender for something far more serious. Theories began to converge. If this object had survived solar storms, altered its rotation, followed a precise orbital plane, and matched spectral profiles with materials found on Mars, then it could no longer be treated as a simple rock from beyond the stars. It could be a probe. The shape, the behavior, the chemical resilience, it all pointed to a possibility that had remained until now purely speculative: an extraterrestrial artifact. Engineered for durability, built to endure stellar radiation, constructed with materials able to reflect and survive cosmic wear for millions of years. Possibly designed to appear natural enough to blend in, but unnatural enough to be noticed, eventually. There's a term for such a thing: an autonomous interstellar monitor, a probe not sent to communicate, not to land, not to interact, but to watch, to study, to passively record signals from evolving civilizations, launched eons ago, powered by systems we don't understand, following courses set long before humans understood orbits, and now spotted in our skies. Further supporting this idea was the complete lack of typical outgassing behavior. There were no jets, no volatile trails, no sign of the sublimation that defines cometary physics, yet the brightness remained. It didn't decay the way a natural dusty body would, after weeks near the sun. That consistency is not normal, nor is the silence that followed. After Perseverance's image and the initial global wave of attention, the conversation among scientists turned cautious. Public statements became conservative, but the raw data continued to tell a story that was hard to deny. This object didn't behave like it should, which means it may not be what it seems. If 3I/ATLS is artificial, the implications are extraordinary. For decades, SETA has operated under the assumption that signals, radio, laser, or optical, would be our first sign of contact. But what if we've been looking for the wrong sign? What if the first evidence of intelligence beyond Earth doesn't arrive in a broadcast, but in a craft designed to look like a comet, moving silently, emitting nothing but orbiting everything? A patient machine, engineered to do one thing: survive long enough to be seen. That brings us back to the image. One photo, one moment, captured not by a telescope from Earth, but by a rover from another world, Mars, dead, dry, and watching, became the platform for humanity's first real look at something potentially not of this world. And the image didn't show chaos or light trails or fragmentation. It showed precision. It showed control. And that's why this isn't just an astronomical event, it's a philosophical one. If an object can cross light years, enter our system, resist the most extreme conditions, and reveal materials we can't explain, then we have to rethink what we know about interstellar travel, about cosmic history, and about the presence of other intelligent actors in this universe. It's possible that 3I/ATLS is one of many, that space isn't empty but filled with similar artifacts, just distant, cold, and silent. That probes like this pass through systems all the time, and that only now, with our technology advanced enough, are we starting to see them for what they are. And if this is a probe, it may not be alone. It may be one node in a broader network, an ancient framework laid across the galaxy, observing silently, waiting for developing civilizations to notice, not to intervene, not to conquer, but simply to witness. That's the quiet power of this discovery. Because whether 3I/ATLS is artificial or natural, its presence changes the equation. It breaks the pattern. It says the universe is not a closed loop of stars and rocks. It's a place where knowledge can move, where machines can endure, where stories can be told across millions of years and unimaginable distances. And this story isn't over. 3I/ATLS is still in orbit. It hasn't disintegrated. It hasn't gone dark. It continues to reflect light, to rotate slowly, to maintain a trajectory that defies randomness. Its next close pass is still being tracked, and scientists are preparing for it. Every observatory that can point at it will, because we may never get another chance. If this is artificial, if it is a messenger, then this could be the closest we've ever come to touching intelligence beyond our own. And even if it never speaks, even if it never moves again, it's already delivered a message: we are not alone. If this matters to you, if the truth of this object's origin, nature, and purpose deserves more attention, share this. Let others see what the rover saw. Like the video, subscribe to follow what happens next, because the sky just gave us an answer, and now it's up to us to ask the right questions. The atmosphere on Mars is thin, less than 1% the pressure of Earth's. There's almost no buffer between the planet and the void. Light travels cleanly, distortions are minimal. That's why the image captured by Perseverance on October 4, 2025, was so sharp, so clear. There was no interference, no trick of the lens, no chance of misinterpretation. Hovering above the horizon, framed against the barren Martian sky, was 3I/ATLS, not streaking, not fragmenting, just there, suspended, silent. And once the raw data was processed, it became clear that what Perseverance saw was not the expected, not a diffuse cloud, not a tumbling ice body, not a trail of dust, typical of comets. It was structured, stable, deliberate. Zoomed in, the contours didn't blur like ice or debris, they sharpened. Shadows edged across angles that seemed too clean for a naturally eroded object. The brightness was uniform, not reflective glint, but internal symmetry. This was not a natural visitor caught by chance. This was something else. The initial conclusion was cautious, but it didn't stay that way. What struck analysts first was the object's resistance to solar activity. That same week, a major solar storm erupted, a blast of charged particles that reached both Earth and Mars. Satellites entered protective modes. Surface equipment on Mars experienced brief signal degradation, but not 3I/ATLS. It didn't flare, it didn't disintegrate. Its light signature dimmed slightly, absorbed energy, and stabilized. Natural comets respond violently to solar storms. They outgas, they brighten, they fracture. That's what we expect, but this object remained intact. Resilience is a word scientists use carefully, but in this case, it's not an interpretation, it's the data. The chemical and spectral data that followed made things stranger. From Earth, the James Webb Space Telescope recorded detailed readings across infrared bands. What it found was unprecedented: extreme negative polarization. That means light reflecting off the object was polarized in a way opposite to what's expected from natural celestial bodies. It didn't scatter light like rock or dust, it absorbed and re-emitted it differently, like it was engineered to do so. Then came the signature of metals, not just any metals, but smooth, layered compositions. High reflectivity, consistent across rotations, no ice, no dust, no signs of decay. It was behaving more like a low albedo satellite than a comet. And the alignment, its path followed the ecliptic plane, the thin disk of orbital alignment, where Earth, Mars, Venus, and most of the solar system's planets revolve around the Sun. But an interstellar object shouldn't care about alignment. It should come in at a random angle, wild, erratic, not 3I/ATLS. It tracked right through the plane of the planets, as though inserted intentionally, as though guided. Then another piece of data arrived, a match between some of the mineral signals and the soil composition of Mars, specifically iron oxides and silicates, consistent with surface readings taken by rovers over the past 2 decades. Now the implications here were vast. It didn't mean the object came from Mars. but it meant it carried material very similar to Martian geology. That raises only two possible conclusions. Either it formed near a Mars-like world somewhere else, or it contains material from one, which leads to the next question: how? No known natural process delivers that kind of material composition across interstellar distances, especially not in such a preserved, organized form. Unless it was built to, unless the materials were selected. That's when scientists started comparing notes, and patterns emerged. They compared the trajectory of 3I/ATLS to older data, deep sky radio signals, optical anomalies, pointing back to 1977, the WOW signal, that legendary one-time burst of radio intensity, strong narrowband, and unexplained. For decades no source was found, it never repeated. But now 3I/ATLS had passed through roughly the same section of the sky. Was it a coincidence? Maybe. But the alignment, the timing, and the current behavior of the object made coincidence less and less convincing. Add to that the steady rotation rate, not tumbling, not chaotic, controlled, slowly, predictably turning in space, a signal to engineers, physicists, and SETI researchers everywhere. This object was conserving angular momentum like a spacecraft, and if it was engineered, if it's a probe, then it may not be broadcasting at all. It may be listening. Just as the Voyagers carried the golden record, just as we send radio messages into space, it's possible 3I/ATLS is a silent observer, not active, not invasive, just present. And that possibility changes the game. For years, scientists in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence operated under a simple assumption: communication would be loud, a signal across frequencies, a flash, a burst. But what if it isn't? What if it's subtle, quiet, observational? What if it's subtle, quiet, observational? What if the first encounter is not with a message, but with a messenger? That's what 3I/ATLS represents now. It's no longer just an interstellar object. It's a question with mass. One that Mars saw first. One that Perseverance captured, by chance, but maybe not. Because this timing too is suspicious. We have Earth orbiters, we have Mars rovers, we have deep space telescopes, and now in 2025, when our technology is finally capable of high-resolution multi-band observation, now is when it arrives. Too perfect, too convenient. And if it was built to be seen, then this could be the beginning of the most significant shift in human understanding since the dawn of astronomy. Because if it is artificial, it means one thing without question: we are not the first. Not the first to explore, not the first to send emissaries into the dark, not the first to wonder who might be watching. And if 3I/ATLS is watching us, then we are not alone in the universe. We are already known. That realization isn't just scientific, it's cultural, philosophical, existential. What does it mean to know you are being observed by a mind older than your species? What does it mean to see the possibility of artificial design in something drifting silently above another world? We don't know, but we're watching. The next phase is observation. 3I/ATLS will continue its orbit for now. The solar storm hasn't slowed it. Its structure remains intact. Its brightness is steady. If it continues to behave the way it has, resisting decay, retaining trajectory, aligning with solar motion, then it will remain visible, and we will keep watching. Because even if it never speaks, it's already said enough. Its behavior challenges everything we assume about natural objects. Its structure defies decay. Its orbit, its resilience, its materials, all point towards something extraordinary. And if it is a probe, then it may be the first physical evidence that intelligence beyond Earth has touched this system. Not with conquest, not with contact, but with quiet, precise, enduring presence. Something that passed through and left its trace, or something that stayed, waiting to be seen. Either way, this isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning. A single photo taken from the surface of Mars may have captured more than a scientific anomaly. It may have captured the first glance at our cosmic mirror, a reflection not of what we are, but of what we might become. There's no protocol for this, no script, no step-by-step guide for what to do when an object from outside the solar system appears, resists solar storms, aligns with planetary orbits, and reflects light like a machine, and then lets itself be photographed, clearly by a robot on another planet. That image,
captured by Perseverance, may be the first true moment of contact, not in sound, not in symbols, but in physics, in geometry, in endurance, because everything about 3I/ATLS defies the natural, the orbit, the timing, the materials. This isn't debris, it's intact, it's controlled, it's deliberate, and now it's part of our records, our data, our story. Whatever built this, if it was built, is operating at a level far beyond anything on Earth. And yet, the object doesn't impose, it doesn't threaten, it simply moves, stable, precise, and aware, as if it knew where to be, as if it knew when to be seen. This might be it, the first artifact from another civilization. Not a message beamed through space, but a presence, measurable, visible, enduring. It's not science fiction anymore. It's a photograph. It's a data trail. It's an object moving through our system with intent. And that means the question isn't, are we alone? The question is, who already knows we're here? If this resonates with you, if this moment in history feels bigger than headlines, share it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, because the silence of space might be breaking, and we're finally starting to hear it.